In our last video, we discussed 3 specific ways to improve your calming corners, or de-escalation spaces. These are a great way to teach, prompt, and reinforce the use of self-regulation strategies. Let's continue to level up our skills as educators with 3 additional tips to improve these spaces. Tip number 4, reflection forms can be a helpful tool to add to your calming corner or de-escalation space. Reflection forms are a great way to not only monitor the use of the space, but also to gather feedback from the student about the effectiveness of the break or the level of stress they're experiencing. Reflection forms allow a student to describe or rate their emotions, note their readiness to return to class, and give them the option to request to speak with someone if they're still struggling. This type of intervention can be a low-level strategy on a continuum of responses and may even prevent the need for a student to be sent out of the room to a counselor or a special education teacher. The reflection form will help you know if the student is back online and open and available for learning. The 5th way you can level up your break space is with the use of biofeedback. Biofeedback is a tool that brings attention to the mind and body connection. There are online biofeedback products designed to give a student immediate visual feedback based on their heart rate or other bodily functions. So for example, this can happen with a student sliding a tool on their finger to measure their heart rate. This is then connected to a view on the computer in which maybe it shows rocky waters and dark skies when the student has a high heart rate. And then when the student slows their breathing, slows their heart rate, the ocean waters will begin to settle and the sun will start to rise. I encourage you to investigate more on biofeedback because this is an underutilized tool in our field. The 6th and final way to improve these spaces is by adding mentally distracting items. So in the break spaces I see across the state, we typically include items such as a lava lamp, tactile fidgets, art supplies, pillows. For students who struggle with anxious thoughts, a break space may seem like a good idea, but we learn from leaders in the field like Jessica Minahan that mentally disruptive activities can be particularly helpful. Let's say I'm ruminating on a particular thought like, I'm terrible at math, I'm never good at anything, I'm stupid. I can continue these repetitive, aversive thoughts while rubbing the sensory pillow or coloring in a book. So instead, we could add Sudoku or a student's favorite music or crossword puzzles to activate the mind and interrupt these negative thoughts. Conducting a student interest inventory could give you other great ideas. Co-regulation and following an I do, we do, you do approach to these self-regulation skills involves the adult modeling, guiding, prompting, reinforcing the use of these skills. Remember, this is powerful not only because we're reducing the likelihood of big behaviors in the classroom, but because we are building the lifelong skill of self-regulation.